Hello and welcome to another episode where I just talk about what has happened in my business, what I'm going to do moving forward. It's just like a video diary, I suppose, of just, what I'm doing. I don't know. But we have a new background, maybe temporary. I did not intentionally plan to wear a shirt that matches said background, but here we go. So I was looking through, I'm Gabrielle Celeste. Hello, if you don't already know by now. I am the owner of AGUA Astrology. I co-host the Spiritual Sisters podcast, and I'm just gonna riff. I was looking through, because I'm just now getting back to YouTube after 15 months, because it just wasn't my focus in 2024, and that actually is going to be one of the topics that I go over today. And I was going through my old videos that currently are on my YouTube page, and I was thinking, like, what could be valuable? What could be something that I would want to look back on however many years down the road from now, and just be grateful that I actually spoke to it and could reflect back on to just really acknowledge and observe the progress. So I have so many 4s in my numerological makeup from the system that is numerology. And I really just enjoy documentation. Like, I'm such a journaler. I really enjoy systems. In my previous life, I'm actually I still have this. So I'm a certified auditor for internal investigations, and I really enjoy just like systems, much like ISO, and documents that are substantial. And that's what I wanted to do for this YouTube video, and to go back and document my second year in business. So from 2023 to 2024, and then I'll do a third one. So I'll do 2024 up till 2025 because I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary. And I just kind of wanted to reflect on like what I got done and what was accomplished in that period of time, because now, nearly being 3 years into the business, I feel as though I'm just now getting started, and I have the actual foundation for me to actually create what I want to create. And it almost took that period of time to figure out what exactly I was doing, what exactly I was offering, which of the skill sets that I have that I wanted to focus on more and lean into, given where I plan to go with this intuitive consulting business that's primarily focused on astrology and human design. So, and my psychic gifts. So I would definitely say those would be some of the main pillars that I think I focus on, even though I do have interest and definitely practice the tarot, numerology, and I have a substantial understanding of the subconscious and the conscious minds by way of my sister's work, and just seeing it come up in so many of the readings I've done. So this is what I'm going to capitalize for this episode. It is what I learned in my second year of business, and where I think I'm going to be going. Maybe we can finish that. Moving into my 3rd full year of business. So I launched my business. I started it in 2022, and I went live with it in the summer of 2022. And so coming back to that, so from the summer of 2023 to 2024 is really what the time frame I'm trying to capitalize on. And that might even extend into the end of 2024. Being December, that full calendar year. And I pretty much just kept the systems running, because I felt that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And because I had spent so much time on getting the business going and really going for it from in the year of 2023, I felt that because it was working and it worked for my schedule, working multiple jobs, that it just was time for me to focus on my personal life. And ironically enough, in 2023, I was in a personal year 8 in numerology. And in 2024, I was in a personal year 9. So I was coming up to the end of a 9-year cycle, and I just knew that a 9-year really wasn't the year to start new things or really invest my energy, my precious energy into, creating like a brand new school or creating a whole new offering that was going to be something that required time to build out. So I would say, given where I was at personally, because I am the vessel for the business, it just didn't make sense for me to go at it as hard as I did in the years prior. So I would highly recommend checking out what I learned in my first year of business video, and that was the last one that I had shared towards the end of 2023. And more or less, I would say that 2024 was very similar in terms of output and what I produced. And even to the extent of like maybe a little bit of the creation aspect, because the year 8s are all about getting things done and living in the energy of success, which I definitely felt was the case for me. I saw that monetarily within my business. I felt as though I was, and I'm so grateful to be able to say that in each year of business, I've been able to make more than the previous, so it is profitable. However, I do acknowledge the balance aspect of it, and with every pros, there are cons. So with the year 8, I definitely felt that in the shadow side of the year 8 is your health comes into play. So towards the end of it, because I had done so many readings in that period of time, I definitely felt my body asking for more rest and time to catch up and to integrate the energy that I was really just working with, and it was getting adjusted to reading. And then I was building stamina basically. And what was really cool about that, even though I did experience some health ailments in 2024, so the following year, I was able to still do the same amount of readings, and I doubled it. And in that process, continued to record the podcast. I was still working a full-time job, and that was very much the case up until very recently. And now I'm officially fully self-employed within my own business, which is so crazy to think and say after 3 years of being within my business. It was actually literally 3 years to the day that I licensed my business, and which was 3 years to the day of my, like the last crazy transit that I had in my birth chart. And I had done at that point well over 500 readings, balancing all of my responsibilities. So when I say like I feel like I'm just now figuring out what I'm doing, it took that amount of time to kind of lay out the foundation and create the open space for me to see which direction I really want to go with, because the foundation and the very loyal following is there. So I would say that sometimes what's really frustrating as an intuitive is that you can get a sense of where you're going, how abundant and fruitful it will be, not necessarily just from the monetarily, but from all aspects of resources, that like it's there for you. So it's almost like you're future tripping, but like you know it to be there and true. And it's hard to be in the present as a result of that, depending on how grounded you are in certain chakras and how healed you are as well, and where you're operating from said chakras. So I definitely felt that, like, I felt I knew I was going to get to this point. I just never knew when. And I'm very grateful to be able to say that 3 years into this, like I'm able to do this full time. So the takeaway for me going into this like second year, and I think these are some of the highlights that I want to share from what I learned in my second year of business, is you definitely have to look at where you're at from your personal and professional standpoint, because you are the business, you are the business, like you are the vessel for the business. But the other thing that I also think comes into effect is you have to take care of yourself, and you have to see where you're at and honor your process, because if you don't, your business is going to reflect that back to you in some way, just as your clients and your specific type of clients that come to you are going to reflect that back to you in some way. And so what I would really stress is to acknowledge the cycles, like the literal cycles from an astrological standpoint or a numerological standpoint that you are in, and see how well the personal cycles, the personal year cycles to be specific in numerology, and see how well off you'll be to actually make it work for you. So, and you to feel supported and successful in that way. So because I knew I was in a year 9, the year of endings, the year of success, the year of if of being able to kind of like plant the seeds and see what's coming for you upon your year 1 and the following 9 years to come in that new cycle. I think I did over, off the top of my head, I think I did like 172 readings. And those were combinations of in person, so group parties. They were also one-to-ones via Zoom. And they were also written readings via the Etsy shop that I have. And the Etsy shop was really a fun offering that came through, because I was well aware at that point how I was reading, how I was receiving information, and how I was able to essentially translate that into another stream of income and it not be taxing on my energy. And it also be an entry tier offering where I could still be accessible to the people that I've worked with in the past, or for new people to come in and be introduced to my work from at a nominal price. So that was really fun. And I launched that in October of 2024. So we are going towards the end of the calendar year, which is kind of bleeding into like my 3rd year in business, or my 2nd going into my 3rd. And I had also, at that point, I was just kind of living my life. Like, there wasn't anything too much that I did differently from my 1st year to my 2nd, other than keeping the momentum going, making the systems continue to work for me, and finding more balance in the 2nd year than I felt I was afforded in the 1st. Because when you're building something, the time, the energy, the investment that is required to get something off the ground, to market it, to sell it, it's more taxing than I think people consider. And that goes across the board for any business. But I think when there's a spiritual business involved, because it's so intricate and involved in your own energy, it's unavoidable to the, like, you can't not take care of yourself from all angles, emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, because in all ways, and in some of those ways specifically, depending on the season of business that you're in, it's going to be reflected back to you somehow if you're not on top of your game. So I feel like this was more theoretical. I don't know if there were like really tactile business lessons I could offer in this one. This was more just to like capture what I did do. And I guess I could share how many hours I worked. I would say during each week, so I was working 40 hours in my, what I call my normie job, because it was very normie, very 3D, very much something that allowed me to ground into the 3D. But I would say that I would invest at least anywhere from 20 to 30 hours in my business every week. And it was a very rigid schedule in the sense that I would wake up, I was working East Coast hours. So I would work nonstop from 6:30 to 2:30. I would give myself somewhat of a break. And then I would work for 5 hours into the evening, like Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, I would definitely give myself rest in the mornings, but a lot of my time then was also dedicated to that. into the business or the podcast and future efforts that I have planned now and that I plan to invest more of my energy into. So yeah, it was, and I might even share just more like day by day routine structure that I had throughout 3 years, because I was very consistent with it. But there was very much an energetic requirement that I think social media doesn't see, or that goes on behind the scenes. Not everyone is privy to, that I haven't given people access to on purpose. And there's just a lot that I think goes into it. And it's a sacrifice, but it's a very rewarding and fulfilling sacrifice that I will continue to invest in. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there for this one. It's like less than 20 minutes. And we'll just keep these informational video diary videos going. Okay, until next time.